Welcome to the Big Play Cleveland show presented by FanDuel. I'm Gabriella Cruz alongside Chris McNeil, Nick Padone, and our producer Ryan Smith. As always, got to give you a shout out. We're coming off a pretty depressing weekend here for Cleveland sports fans, and it's just so fitting that it's swirling snow and icy temperatures and just gray outside. I think that's a perfect depiction of how we're feeling a little bit here as fans. What did everybody do this weekend?
Well, last week we were talking about it being kind of bittersweet after the games. I think it's just bitter now. Pretty bitter cold here in Cleveland. The Cavs have got me pretty bitter. The Browns, of course, continue to get me pretty bitter. So a little bit of a rough weekend. I was out there shoveling my driveway all weekend, trying to kind of dig out, hustle down, watching the games. There were a couple, Army Navy's always fun to watch on Saturday. Unfortunately, you get to Sunday, you get the Browns. That was an ugly time. And, of course, the Cavs to top it all off for us. So kind of a rough weekend there, Nick.
Yeah, brutal, man. The great wordsmith Johnny Manziel once called this time of year the gray. And I think that's a perfect label for what it's like in Cleveland, Ohio right now. Like, the Browns aren't good, the Cavs aren't good, the sun goes down before it ever comes up. Like, this chapter of the season is really just the gray.
Yeah. What's funny is I've so far, knock on wood, been able to avoid any kind of slips or falls or the icy, because it's just so crazy out there. You never know what you're going to get. One day it was raining and then it iced over the next day. Yep. And then yesterday to finish the night at the Cavs game, I completely rolled my ankle. Like, it was 90 degrees. And honestly, I bounced back all right. So, I mean, things are good. And maybe that's an omen that the Cavs...
Another Cavs injury.
Maybe not the Browns, but that we could bounce back.
Yeah. We're out of players that can be injured, knock on wood.
Nobody makes me break my own ankles. Nobody. No, I got up. I think that maybe this is our sign that we're going to get back up, okay? Should we be as worried about the Cavs? I don't know. The Browns, I think we have understood what this season is likely to be, but the Cavs have just had so many injuries.
They really have. But we're running out of excuses at some point. I know Evan Mobley just gets hurt, so that's really going to tarnish that Christmas Day game where you're talking about the Knicks coming in. So, unfortunately, every time we get close, it seems like it gets a little bit further. But still, we're not playing very good teams right now, and we should be able to take it to Charlotte, not what we saw over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, losing to a team that didn't have LaMelo Ball, didn't have Colin Sexton, they had 7 wins coming in, and you actually were I get no Mobley, but you still have Darius and Donovan and Jarrett. Like, that should be a game where you're resting guys in the fourth quarter. So the Cavs are a mess right now. I'm out of excuses. You're the 8th seed in the East. These games still count. Like, even though you've got injuries, you ain't going to win an NBA title as a play-in team. I'll tell you that right now. So you got to get out of this play-in tournament. These games still matter, and I'm out of excuses for it.
Yeah, to your point, Chris, about the injuries, they were making a surge in the fourth quarter. Momentum was in our favor. I as someone who covers the team and also as a fan, I was really struck by they get into overtime and they made 0 shots. They were 0 for 10 from the field, 0 for 4 from the 3 ball.
Yeah.
And there's no... Well, how do you explain that?
They stink in overtime. In the Donovan Mitchell era, they've only won a handful of overtime games. It's something about the ideology or the fact that they use up all their energy in the fourth quarter to have these epic comebacks and then just have them fall short. They stink in overtime. The last thing you should root for is overtime because they'll lose and then you'll be even more tired going into the next game. You should just take the loss in the fourth quarter and at least have fresh lungs ready to go for the next game.
I'm pretty sure they said they're the first team since 2015, first team in a decade to go scoreless in overtime like that. Pretty brutal.
We go through these spells and we've done it all season. We just can't shoot. I mean, we go from being top 5 in 3-point percentage to 28th this year. It's just unbelievable. But yet we still keep chucking it up there, and then we're not rebounding the ball on top of it. So other than that, though, the Cavs are great.
We'll have more to dig into, guys. We got to take a break. We'll be back with our Cleveland headlines right after this.
Today's Cleveland headlines on the Big Play Cleveland show are brought to you by our friends at Northeast Factory Direct. And I'm looking outside and I'm seeing a lot of gray, and I know I stayed in my house this entire weekend, and you probably did too. So if you're looking around the house and you're thinking to yourself, man, I could use a kitchen remodel, I could use to update some of this furniture, maybe I need a new mattress to get myself through this cold, dreary Cleveland winter, Northeast Factory Direct is the place for you. You could get that house fixed up all under one roof, and there's no fancy showrooms, no high pressure salesmen, just great items at great prices. It gets even better for our listeners when you're getting ready to check out all your great furniture at Northeast Factory Direct. Ask for that extra special Big Play bonus. Visit them today in Cleveland, Euclid, Macedonia, or North Canton. Check them out online, northeastfactorydirect.com, and remember to ask for that extra special Big Play hookup.
All right, gang, the Browns get annihilated. Bears take it 31-3 over our Browns, and there was just a lot going on. We can get into Shedeur's play, but I mean, how much can you really evaluate him in an accurate way when the O-line is down 4 starters? I think that we keep coming back to Jerry Jeudy. If there's somebody having the hardest time in the NFL, I would not want to be Jerry right now.
I would not want to be Andrew Berry, who still has to pay Jerry Jeudy $22 million after this season to remain on this roster. And he is officially the most embarrassing player in the National Football League, really has been all season when you factor in his salary and his role, and now actively giving touchdowns to defensive backs. He just finds a way to set new lows each and every week. It's an embarrassing state of affairs right now, and I've never seen an organization so lifeless, even dating back to 1-31. Like, they were at least trying to battle in those teams, even though you knew they didn't have enough talent, they were at least trying. Like, I look at what happened on Sunday for the Browns, and I saw a team and a coaching staff of people that just flat out didn't want to be there. So why doesn't ownership do them a favor and just get them out? Usher out this era of Browns football. I hate it. I'm done with it. It's nothing but losing and analytics and stubbornness. Move on from this era and let's get something new in here, because whatever they are doing, it just does not work.
For how bad, Nick, this season has been for the Cleveland Browns, yesterday really felt like a bottoming out. And we've been at the bottom for a while. So to really bottom out like we did yesterday really hurts. We saw the defense implode. We saw the offense couldn't do anything. And what do we see out of special teams? The same thing we always see out of special teams. For whatever reason, we stick with Bubba Ventrone, even though he sets us up right off the bat. They have a big return. Like, it's right on script every single week, and it just drives me nuts. But this organization seems very reticent to do anything about it, whether it's changing personnel, whether it's really changing anything that they do. They're not setting up the organization going forward. They're not setting up individual players. They're not setting up Shedeur. They're not setting up the offense. The only thing that's getting set up right now is Miles to get himself a sack record, and that's the only thing we're left really to root for.
And Chris, like, when the old saying goes, when nothing changes, nothing changes. And you had lost this game before the wristband snafu with Shedeur Sanders even ever happened. This is how they started the game. There was a 52-yard kick return by the Bears, naturally. Then the Bears, they had to punt, and it was down at the 1. Credit to the Browns defense. They got off the field. Kevin Stefanski, for 2 weeks in a row, challenges that same punt down at the 1, and for 2 weeks in a row, loses that challenge. Then there was a false start. Then there was 12 men on the offense. So you had more offensive penalties than you had offensive snaps at that juncture in the game. You're backed up into your own end zone. You have to punt the football away. And again, with this special teams, naturally, the Bears return it right into Cleveland Browns territory, and they're able to score. So prior to the Shedeur wristband snafu that everybody wants to talk about, you had already lost that game because you came into it overmatched, overcoached, and unprepared.
We've regressed. I mean, Shedeur, this offense has regressed. We talked about it early on. I was looking for those incremental improvements, getting in and out of the offense, not a whole lot of penalties. And Shedeur and the offense were doing that for a time. Yesterday, we did not see that at all, Nick. Like, 4 of the first 6 offensive plays all had penalties. It was absolutely disgusting watching that entire game. And this Browns team, I think they've quit. I think they've absolutely quit. I see it on the defense. I certainly see it on the offense. Special teams, don't get me started. This team has quit. There needs to be changes, and they need to come soon.
Yeah, I think that Chris, I mean, to say that we've regressed, yes, we anticipated those things on offense, and we've been seeing it with the special teams, but even the defense taking a step back. Were you surprised by that? They gave up another 142 rushing yards yesterday. Do you think it is just a lack of motivation, a give up, if you will?
We've got a few injuries in there, but ultimately defense is about want and it's about will. And especially when you get into those cold temperatures like you saw yesterday there in Chicago, it's our best guys lining up against theirs, and they just said, we're going to run the ball down your throats, and they were able to do it. And that's another week in a row that they've been able to do it. We're just going to sit back, let you guys get your yards. Hopefully you drop back to pass so that Myles Garrett can get a sack. That's what we're looking for.
Well, Chris,
right now.
and riddle me this, dude. Like, and no names, but like if I'm a defensive lineman on the Browns right now, and I look at the special teams, and Raven Trone is allowed to come back into that building, and Gage Larvidan is able to continue dropping punts, and we're letting these returns just get gashed every single time, and I'm a defensive lineman that has to run back out on the field with my shoulder pads and my knee pads and my back hurts. Yeah, you know what? DeAndre Swift looks a little fast today. And if I don't get him on the ground, well, I know I'm safe in my job because Raven Trone's been allowed to come back into this building ever since week 3 when he probably should have been let go because of how bad this special teams have been. So there's no accountability from top down. So I think it's easy for these guys defensively to just say, well, if there's no accountability anywhere else, we've been the backbone of this entire operation. Why should we continue to care?
Yeah, I mean, it feels silly, not silly, but it certainly clouds a lot of Myles and his accomplishments because he is that 1.5 sacks away from breaking the all-time record. It's like how do you transition from everything? The sky is falling, but hey, Myles, you're about to get this amazing record. How much does it really matter?
Well, I think it's actually cool because it's cool in the sense that it's like Myles Garrett was Nostradamus because he told us in front of the cameras and in front of the microphones at the Super Bowl last year that this was getting ready to happen. And it happened. Myles Garrett was right. And not only was he
Nostradamus
right,
or just average football fan? I mean, he knew what we all knew coming into this season. What was the over-under for wins for this team? 5, and we were all
5.5.
5.5, and we were all struggling going, I don't know. Are they going to hit 5.5? Well, we were absolutely right, along with Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett knew what he was signing up for, and he's like, hey, I'm going to go out. I'm going to set a record this season. Yep. I'm still going to, work my tail off to get my numbers and everything else. Hopefully the team can come along. The team has not come along. So I don't know that he's as much Nostradamus as just your average football fan who's paying any attention to the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, and I think it's embarrassing because like he telegraphed that this was all going to happen, and they allowed it to happen because they had no plan. Their plan was to throw money at Myles. Their plan was to throw money at Jerry Jeudy, who's the most embarrassing player in the National Football League. Their plan was this 4-man quarterback competition that they boasted and created their own internal docuseries about. All of those guys were a joke. Look at how Kenny Pickett did yesterday. He got shut out. They didn't score any points. Yeah. That was the plan this year, was to start the season with Kenny Pickett. They had no plan, and Myles saw right through it. He collected a big payday, and now he's going to go down in the history books on this losing team.
But the last people to know were the Cleveland Browns themselves. Now, I expect a team to come in optimistic and everything else, but you look at what J.W. Johnson, part of Browns ownership after we beat the Packers. He takes a victory lap on all the fans thinking, hey, this is what we're building towards. This is what we're building towards. This is going to be something. You fans stick on board. Every fan who jumped off was smart at that point.
Yeah, you know why? Because 7 business days after that post, Joe Flacco stunk up the joint again, and they panicked, and they moved off their secondary plan B for Dylan Gabriel, who they had to justify overdrafting in the top 100, who was overmatched in all 5 of his starts. So it is like a domino effect that happened all season long, and it's almost a surprise in a way that it's taken the team this long to quit, and I've certainly quit on them as well. Like, there's no reason to have any belief that Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry, or anybody that they put on the football field on Sundays for the last remaining 12 quarters of this dreadful season should have any business continuing on into 2026. They all need to be gone.
McNeil, are you going to any more games this year?
Oh, I'm done. It is too cold. We're trying to get rid of our tickets as much as we can for as low or as high as we can. But unfortunately, you're not getting too many buyers right now for those Cleveland Browns tickets out there.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Garage Beer. No bitterness, no frills, no IPA, just beer-flavored beer. Find local retailers who sell garage beer near you by visiting drinkgaragebeer.com. Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show. It's time for our Garage Beer featured interview. Garage Beer is the perfect beer for any occasion. It's small batch, no frills, no bitterness. It's just beer that tastes like beer. The garage is always open with Garage Beer, and now we welcome on a very special guest, Bills pre- and post-game show host for WGR 550 in Buffalo, Nate Geary. Thanks for coming on with us.
My pleasure. Now that I know my lead-in was Garage Beer, I'm feeling even better about this segment. I mean, that's like one of my favorites. So I'm living.
Yeah, I know it's the morning, but if you wanted to, no judgment if you were going to crack one open.
Well, after that Patriots game yesterday, I might be willing to. If there's a day I'm going to crack an 11-8 beer, it's going to be today.
Yeah, the Bills, they're coming off that huge win in New England, and they face the reigning champ Eagles next week. Is there any way the Bills overlook the Browns this Sunday?
Not with Myles Garrett. No, it's funny. I think somebody asked Bills left tackle Deion Dawkins after the game yesterday. He was in the parking lot. I think he was on FaceTime on NFL Network, and they were like, so what about Myles Garrett? He's like, can we not talk about Myles Garrett? We're going to have to worry about that tomorrow. Let's just enjoy this game today. Cause I think the Bills know the Hall of Fame level, maybe best player and that's coming from a guy, I was 5 years old when Bruce Smith was in his heyday. But, I think if there's a Bills fan that has the credentials to say that there's somebody that is maybe the best defensive end and pass rusher of all time, I think a Bills fan's got pretty good credential in that, considering I think we saw the previous best one in Bruce Smith. No, I doubt the Bills are going to, especially after the Atlanta game this year, the Dolphins game. I think there's going to be very little appetite to take the Browns lightly, knowing kind of the guy that's going to be lining up against Josh Allen every play.
Nate, as you look around the AFC, how surprised are you at the way it's played out so far this season? We see Kansas City now eliminated, Patrick Mahomes obviously done. You see the Bengals just awful this season. You see the Ravens may not make the playoffs. What is your thought on the AFC overall and where Buffalo stands?
Yeah, I would say it's lined up pretty well for the Bills. And, listen, I appreciate you guys throwing in some of the Bengals and Ravens because, they're for whatever reason, I've really come to learn to hate both of those franchises quite a bit. And seeing the Bengals talking about, the love of the game, it's pretty priceless. And, watching the Ravens, kind of fall apart with the way their fan base treats everybody else. I'm pretty open to how their seasons have gone so far, but I think it's a landscape that's kind of playing right into the hands of a team with Josh Allen at quarterback, right? And this is not a knock on Justin Herbert or Bo Nix or any of the other quarterbacks right now. With their AFC teams looking like they're going to be in the playoffs. Justin Herbert doesn't have a playoff win in his career. Trevor Lawrence has one. Bo Nix lost to the Bills last year in his first playoff appearance. So I do think that if you're talking about just knowing that our morning show host in Buffalo, Jeremy White, we like to make golf analogies during our pregame. We're big golfers, and we talk about how the regular season is like stroke play, and then when you get to the playoffs, it's like match play. And if you're a golfer, there's a totally different mindset when you're playing against the field compared to when you're playing 1v1 in a match play situation. And I think when the playoffs go into that format, that it should lean into, kind of the Bills and what they've been doing. The Bills being 4-2 in games opponents have scored 30 plus points is a mind-boggling stat to me. No, their defense is not great, but in the second half, yesterday, and I thought the previous week against the Bengals, even that loss against Houston, the Bills in the second half defensively have figured things out, and they got 4 stops in the second half last week. I thought it was the difference for the Bills. So it's lined up really well for them in a potential playoff field that is going to be without Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, I would say Bills fans and probably the Bills at large all feel pretty good about how this landscape is starting to shape up.
Nate, using that golf analogy here, for the Cleveland Browns at the quarterback position, we've needed a lot of mulligans, and we've used a lot of mulligans. There's been a lot of careers with fits and starts. Right now, we're going through it with Shedeur Sanders. Of course, you guys went through it at the beginning with Josh Allen, who's become quite the quarterback. Took him a little while. Talk about that process, and when did you know that you had a quarterback in Josh Allen?
Man, it could be tough. If especially for a lot of us that have put a lot of seasons on ice in the back of our head. We'd like to just make room for the new memories, but Josh Allen's rookie season, that second game where the Bills go into Minnesota, I think they're like the second largest underdog in NFL history. They go into Minnesota and beat them, and Josh Allen hurdles Anthony Barr. I think there was kind of like a moment there where you're like, all right, like maybe they've got something here, and even like going back into the preseason of his rookie year, there was a play that the Bills had against the Carolina Panthers in preseason where they go down the field. And how about this? Josh Allen hits his other fellow rookie, Ray McLeod, in the corner of the end zone on one of the most insane throws that I've ever seen, between two defenders in like what you'd call the cover two honeypot. And like at that moment, I was like, okay, that's not a throw I've seen a Bills quarterback make. So there were signs. I don't know that there were signs that we would be watching, maybe right now the best player in football over the past 18 months or so. But I think, one of the things about the quarterback position is it's equal parts quarterback and I think equal parts organization. The Bills, I think, found stability within their organization because of Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott. I know a lot of us complain because they haven't gotten that Super Bowl yet, but how many times have the Jets gotten quarterbacks, right? You talk about these franchises that, if Josh Allen is drafted by the Jets, is he Josh Allen? I'm not totally convinced. So a lot of it does matter where you go. And I thought for a while, Kevin Stefanski was kind of one of those like offensive guru minds that, could turn nothing into something. But it just obviously hasn't worked in Cleveland. But I think Shedeur Sanders is really interesting. I think, he's kind of got the world against him. I actually like Shedeur Sanders. I think their hatred for him has really kind of done the 180 for me. Is like, well, if everybody hates something, I feel like I kind of have to like it, where it's just like, everybody really likes something. I feel like I have to hate it. So I'm interested in this matchup this week to see Shedeur live and watch an entire game.
I've got a stadium question. As the Bills are getting ready to come here, we've just been plagued with bad weather games really all season long, it feels like, here in Cleveland. You guys are getting a new stadium. We're getting a new stadium, but they're a little different as the Browns are building a fixed dome. Buffalo keeping that traditional outside open air. Talk to me a little bit about that thumbs down. You guys have any fans upset that it's not a dome?
I can tell you probably about 30% of our fan base was like really all in on wanting a dome. I probably would have considered myself in amongst that 30%. I think there's something very cool, majestic about, the game that the Bills played 2 weeks ago against the Bengals, seeing the snow on the ground. Now in the Bills' new stadium, they've got a state-of-the-art surface. So there will not be a collection of snow on the field because everything below it is heated. So they won't have the same sort of dramatic winter tundra effect that the current stadium has. But I think Northeast teams should absolutely have open air stadiums. It brings what I think is like the ultimate aura and visual experience, especially on TV, for these stadiums. And like the Bills' new stadium, I think it's 70% of the seats will be covered with an awning. So the fans won't be experiencing so much snow. And then the way they built it is also supposed to kind of be better for swirling winds. The current stadium, if you guys have ever been in Buffalo, the 300 level is actually at street level. The entire stadium's below ground level. So what happens is when the wind starts swirling, it creates this like almost vortex inside the stadium. It can create really difficult, wins for quarterbacks and for kickers. This new stadium is kind of the way that the roof was built is supposed to like basically create no wind in the stadium, regardless of how windy it is outside. So obviously the new stadium is going to have some, I think, unique weather-driven designs. But ultimately, I was very disappointed to hear Cleveland was going with a dome. I just think it's like such a cool advantage. Like, what's better than hosting the Dolphins in December and watching their skinny coach wear I wish it was colder shirt and then come in here and lose by 35. What the heck is better than that?
And it's kind of weird to think, you guys, that like that epic Jameis Steelers game in the snow will once just be a memory,
Yes,
a vintage thing, like when Cleveland had, the open air and everything. Well, Nate, thanks so much for coming in, giving us your input, and sharing your time with us this morning. WGR 550 in Buffalo. Anything else you want to plug before we get you out of here?
No, obviously, I have affinity for Cleveland sports. My first and only NBA basketball game, I don't know how this happened, but I scalped tickets to the last LeBron James game. It was the finals. I think it was game 2 of the finals, the year that they got swept by Golden State. You guys are close to us. Obviously this year didn't go your way. It's too bad this game doesn't have a little bit more juice to it, but nothing but love for our friends down the 90 for sure.
Appreciate you, man. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland show. It's time for our fill in the blank segment. We're going to start with this, guys. The Cavs, I'm not going to start worrying about them until.
Right now, I'm pretty worried about them, to be honest with you. I know we're in the regular season. We say the games don't really matter until Christmas, but I didn't expect them to look as bad as they have. And we've already talked about all of the excuses this team has with the injuries and the fact that they haven't had a starting lineup in consecutive nights, it seems like, in forever. I understand all that, but at the end of the day, when you're playing teams like the Wizards and you're playing teams like Charlotte and you're not looking very good at home in a lot of these cases, then you've got some problems, Nick.
Yeah, they got some serious demons. And I actually think, dissimilar to the Browns, the good news for Cavs fans is Dan Gilbert is the best owner in town. And I think changes are on the way for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I know Kobe Altman has been so patient with this core 4, but you look at the current state of affairs, like, you're the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference right now. So, like, unless you want to be playing play-in basketball, you're going to have to start taking the regular season seriously, even if you didn't want to coming into the year and you just wanted to have your guys healthy for the playoffs. Well, playoffs could start to quickly become an afterthought for this team that's the only team in the second apron. They're paying a lot of money for it. I think changes are coming for the Cavs somewhat soon.
I think I'm in denial. I every game I watch, I'm like, there's no way that this is really materializing, really happening, and it is. And to your point, guys, like, we should be beating some of these teams that are so beatable, and we're in a position to win, and even we're coming back and we're doing all the right things, and then we lay an egg when it matters the most. So that is concerning. I'd like to see a little bit more of Tyrese Proctor, and I know that we've been tinkering with lineups and stuff, but it's like, he gave us some solid minutes, and I was wondering why Kenny, let's keep him in there then in crunch time. Just see what happens if Reese is making points. Anyway, blank is the Cavalier that needs to step it up right now.
Pretty much all of them, really. I mean, Darius Garland, I know he's been out with the toe, and the toe is continuing to hamper him right now. But he's got to figure out something. Either they've got to rest him for a prolonged period, or we got to start seeing something out of Darius Garland. Jared Allen, he's just coming back. We want to see him step up. He's been one of those soft spots in the lineup for us, and he continues to be so far. Even DeAndre Hunter. These are guys, that was a key piece last year. And right now, he's no good. So virtually everybody on this team really needs to step up, including coaching.
Yeah, and I'll say, like, everybody but Donovan Mitchell. And Donovan Mitchell has an off night against the Charlotte Hornets, and after the game says, I need to do more. I think that was a little bit of a shot. And we talked about that before the show, Chris. At the rest of the roster, it's like, well, if I'm not Superman, we have no business even beating the worst team in the league. Like, is that really what this has devolved into? So the supporting cast, you've got to be that. You got to support your superstar. And right now, it looks like Donovan Mitchell is going to be the only Cav representing in Cleveland in the All-Star game coming up here in just a couple of months.
Yeah, I will say I've been really impressed with Jalen Tyson, both his leadership, his hustle. He was another one. I mean, everybody looked uncharacteristic of themselves in overtime, so I've just blacked that out of my memory. But outside of that, I see some really promising stuff out of him, and if he can just keep rallying the energy from the bench, from the young guys, he really resonates. He's got this contagious energy about him. So I don't know, man. We'll see in the next couple weeks with our Cavs. I'd like to see Ohio State face blank in their first playoff game.
We'll face all comers. It doesn't matter to me. I know we're playing either Miami or Texas A&M. Miami might be a little bit of an easier path, but I don't care. Just give me anybody. Right now, I want to see Ohio State on the field. I want to see this run, this march towards a national championship begin. And really, I feel that they are the best team in the country. So let's get these playoffs started.
No Buckeye football on Saturday had me just staring up at my ceiling fan. Like, I was so bored on Saturday. You feed me Miami. Something about the Hurricanes and kind of that old rivalry. And I do think like that would be the easier path, but I don't know. I've never really liked Miami, so I think beating them in the first round would be a good bit of fun.
Sorry to Bernie Kosar out there, Miami Hurricanes there.
The college football playoff game I'm most excited to watch this week is.
I don't know. There's not many good matchups really when you look overall. I mean, it's kind of rough out there. I know you got Alabama this Friday. You got Alabama. You got Oklahoma. I guess that's interesting, but. Outside of that, I don't know, Kennesaw State versus Western Michigan. Does that get you going, Nick? Memphis versus NC State. Old Dominion versus South Florida. I don't know. You know, it used to be it was fun to see some of these conference champions from the smaller conferences play. Now it's all become about the playoff. And I know that part of that is because of big schools like Ohio State. And I actually like that part of it. But there's also that nostalgia where you've really lost that every single game you'd see something during this season that would be interesting. And right now you've lost that.
Yeah, like I'm looking forward to Alabama and Oklahoma on Friday night, and then Miami and Texas A&M. Of course, I'll be tuned into Saturday at noon to find out who Ohio State will play on New Year's Eve. But then, as just a college football fan, you could turn your TV off. Like, Ole Miss Tulane, I've got a spoiler in how that one ends. Ole Miss wins big. Yeah. Oregon and James Madison at 7:30. I've got a spoiler in that one. Oregon wins big. Like, there's no reason to watch these. And these are playoff games. This is the college football playoff. Yeah. And I could be done watching football at 3:30 on Saturday. It stinks a little bit. I wish some of these matchups were a little bit better.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland show. This Smart Choice segment is brought to you by Smart Choice Windows. And right now at Smart Choice Windows, you can get 50% off all windows during our limited time promotion. Plus, take advantage of their special financing with no money down and no interest until 2027. And if you're looking to upgrade your whole exterior, Smart Choice Windows is offering $1,500 off siding for your entire home and $500 off entry door installation to boost your curb appeal. And remember that every project starts with a free no-pressure estimate. So give them a call at 844-GET-SMART or visit smartchoicewindows.com and make sure to ask about the Big Play bonus to get an additional 10% off all promotions. All right, I'm going to give you the situation. You're going to tell me what the smart choice is. If you had to buy a Christmas present for a Browns fan this year, what are you going to buy him?
Garage beer. A whole lot of garage beer, Nick. As much as you can get, because we're going to need it for these last 3 games. It's been a brutal season. It's going to continue to be brutal, I think. So enjoy some fantastic garage beer. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and go Browns, I guess.
Yeah, how about a shower from Smart Choice Baths? I feel like these games are so disgusting and so gross. I just have to take a shower after them because I just hate what I put myself through 4 quarters of football. We can bring all of our sponsors into this because we need all the help that we get. 12 more quarters to go, and we're mercifully at the end of Brown season. Isn't that so sad, dude? Because I sit here all off season, and I'm, mock draft guy and free agency and the schedule game. We just long for Browns football. We jones for it all throughout the summer, and it finally gets here, and here we sit midway through December, and I'm wishing it away. We're 12 quarters from being done with this team, from being done with this regime, I hope, and never having to worry about the Browns for months and months. I can't wait, and I feel bad for saying that because I wait for Browns football months out of the year.
Every year, no matter what we see on paper, we delude ourselves into thinking this could be our year. Even though you come in 5.5 wins, that's what Vegas is saying. You look at the roster and say, I don't know. Everything has got to fall absolutely perfect for us, and we've got to have surprises right and left for this to happen. But somehow, every year we come in optimistic. And, we sit here in December, unfortunately, looking forward to the Cavs and looking forward to hot stove and starting the cycle up again.
All right, let's pivot here a little bit. Fernando Mendoza won the Heisman this week. I don't know about you guys, but even his little tribute to his mom had me just crying. This kid is so exciting to watch, and then his enthusiasm for the game is all that much more exciting. If you had to make a way too early Heisman prediction for the 2026 season, the smart choice would be.
Yeah, congrats to him. I wasn't that enthused with what we saw the Heisman this year. I didn't think the talent level, if you compare it against prior years, I didn't think it was quite there. I don't think some of those guys would have even been invited to New York in prior years. I think going into next year, I see a guy like Julian saying, I mean, you build off of this year. You've already been to New York once. People are familiar with your work. Now you get a few more Heisman moments. The Heisman moments for this year, there weren't really any. I mean, we were talking themselves into them. So you get the stats. You're obviously in the conference where you're going to get an opportunity to put up some nice numbers. You're going to be ranked very highly, if not number one again, going into next year. So he's got to be the odds-on favorite.
How about a little Arch Manning redemption?
They
They kind of figured something out at the end of the season, and he kind of turned himself around, and he was playing a lot better. I feel like his odds might be a little bit further down the board. Maybe you could find some value on an Arch Manning Heisman pick next season.
And if that happens, then the Browns need to continue their tank into next year so that the Haslams can pick their guy. And Arch Manning, congratulations, you're coming to the Cleveland Browns, right?
It all comes full circle, Chris, does it not?
We know the way the script works around here, so just put a pin in this, remember this conversation, talk to you in a year and a half.
Yeah, do you think the Browns, sorry to swipe this a second, do you think the Browns are more about flash than substance? I know that sounds like a very simplistic thing to say, but just given their track record, do you think they prioritize or value a little bit too much flash over substance, or what are your thoughts?
This ownership group does like the shiny object. I mean, you can't deny that. They traded for Odell Beckham Jr. in the back nine of his career. They drafted Johnny Manziel, even though the general manager had concerns about how his body was going to hold up in a NFL season. So they do have an eye for the shiny object. I think you could even say like Jerry Jeudy. Here's a flashy, streaky route runner out of Alabama that underperformed. I think all teams do in a sense, though. It's just it never works out for the Browns is the disappointing part.
I think that most of the teams in the NFL, really, if you go into a grocery store, they're the ones out in the rest of the store. They're buying the meats, the cheeses. The Browns are loading up at the impulse items right there. They're buying the People magazine. They're buying some candy. That's the way that we go about personnel in Cleveland right now, and that hasn't worked real well. You get the Johnny Manziel bar, Shedeur. We'll see if that ends up happening. Maybe that's an impulse item that ends up working for the Cleveland Browns. I don't know, but it seems to me they should be shopping in the main portion of the grocery store like the rest of us, but we end up picking up those damn impulse items.
Yeah, well, it also kind of feels like the girl who keeps dating the popular jock who maybe just doesn't have he's not there for the long haul. He's a short, hot fling, but he doesn't have everything that we need for a husband. You know what I mean? To be there for the test of time. I don't know. Maybe we can make different choices.
Whatever the analogy is, it ain't working. Whether you're talking about grocery stores or jocks, it ain't working here in Cleveland. We need to change it up.
Maybe we just needed a cathartic, simile session there for a second. The MLB free agency is in full swing. If you could make one realistic move for the Guardians.
I didn't even realize free agency was here. What? It's going on?
You in the front office of the Guardians. I don't know. Can we get a bat? That's all I'm asking for. Come on, give me a bat. Give me somebody to hit the ball. It would be nice to have a name again, somebody who could come in here and really generate some excitement going into next year. We know the pitching staff's going to be good. We know the bullpen's going to be good. We got Carl Willis. We're going to continue to roll. But, man, it'd be nice if we could hit right off the bat and get somebody in here people could be excited about, because right now, like you said, it is absolutely dead. Forget about hot stove. It's not tepid stove. It is cold stove. It is ice cold stove here in Cleveland right now and around the Guardians.
I mean, I know Jose Ramirez is like working on the English and stuff. Does he need to say it in plain English though? Like, get me some help.
Yeah.
How about that?
You're
Somebody
wasting
that
my
can
career.
bat behind Jose Ramirez, because we are literally, and I can't shake this. Like, we will be taking our children and grandchildren by and through the Jose Ramirez statue that will be erected outside of that stadium one day, and we will say, yeah, he was an incredible player, and they couldn't field a team around him. And I don't want that to happen. I want the statue to be Jose Ramirez. I don't know, maybe holding an American League championship pennant or a World Series trophy. How crazy would that be? Get this guy some help, and I actually think we're not that far off from that being a reality. Get somebody that could come in here, hit a couple home runs, and the guards are going to be all right.
Necesito ayuda, but I know you want that in English. Hopefully we get it. I don't know if the Guardians will do it this season, but we'll keep an eye out, guys. Maybe we can, you know how Miles predicted kind of the Browns, maybe we can turn it on its head and put out a positive prediction for our Guardians here. Anyone who wants to manifest
Once again, we'll delude ourselves into believing. But the Guardians always give us a reason to believe during the course of the season.
Yeah.
They do prove us wrong up until a point. It'd be nice if we just got that extra help in free agency.
This segment also brought to you by Smart Choice Baths. It's the perfect time to remodel your bathroom, and right now, Smart Choice Baths is giving you $1,250 off your bathroom projects, plus a free luxury upgrade to add comfort and style. And just for Big Play listeners, you'll save an additional 10% on your project. So don't wait. Visit them at smartchoicebaths.com or give them a call at 844-GET-SMART to schedule your free consultation today. Smart Choice Baths, where luxury meets affordability.
Big Play bets on the Big Play Cleveland Show, brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. You know how fast NFL game days move. One big play and everything changes. That's why live betting on FanDuel is truly a game changer, because with FanDuel, you could bet in real time while the game unfolds. If the score just flipped, jump on a new spread or live money line. If a wide receiver's heating up, bet that next touchdown score or total yards. Think a drive's going to stall in the red zone or even before then. Pretty common in a Browns game. Take the live field goal prop or just fade the total. Live player props, team totals, drive results, updated spreads, next play markets. It's all right there. It's fast, it's fun, and with FanDuel, your live bets move as quickly as the game does. So whether you're riding momentum or just fading the hype, FanDuel puts you in the middle of every single moment. Visit FanDuel.com/BigPlay to download the app and bet the NFL live with us all season long. Must be 21 plus, present in select states. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com.
All right, guys, what do the Browns need to do to cover the spread this week? They are 10.5-point underdogs this week at home against the Bills.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. Last week, against Chicago, I saw a 7.5-point spread. I looked at that offensive line. You had Joel Bitonio and a bunch of practice squatters. You basically had nobody there. Defensively, you were missing some key players, and I put a lot of money on the Bears to cover, and sure enough, they did quite easily. This week, I think even though it's at home, you're going to have a lot of Buffalo fans there. They're hardy. They travel. It's not very far at the Buffalo from here. I think you're going to see a lot of their fans there. At times, it may feel like a home game for them, unfortunately, but that's the way that the season is played out. I don't think this one stays close. I think we see another one just like that Chicago game this week.
Yeah, I mean, usually when a team quits, you don't unquit. And there's going to be no changes
Motivation in the middle of the week.
Right, there's no changes for that. Usually when that does happen, it's okay, we, fired a coordinator and there's an interim and we'll rally around this guy. We want to get a win for Jimmy, our new coordinator, or the head coach gets gone and all right, we're going to rally around Schwartz as the interim. Well, none of that's happening. Right? They're not going to make any changes. So this is an embarrassing spread, especially at home. Great seats still available. So for the Bills fans out there that stuck along, and from our Nate Geary interview, very cheap to come across a couple of states here and come watch a game on the lakefront. Professional football is what they call it. I don't know if that's the product that the Browns will put on the field, but that's at least how it's marketed.
And one of your last opportunities before we move to a dome, which 30% of you would have liked there in Buffalo, we learned from Nate.
The over-under opened at 42.5. Are you taking the over or the under this week?
I don't know. It's going to depend on the weather. I don't
like
like
the defense. Like, does the defense, like because if the defense mails it in, Buffalo could put up 42 and a half by themselves. With this special teams,
we're not going to get in the end zone if last week was any indication. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to take the under. I'm going to say Cleveland weather ends up winning the day and nobody scores a lot of points.
Yeah, I think this will truly be some live betting for myself on FanDuel.
Yeah.
Like, as the
Up-to-date.
Browns flounder, I will continue to bet against them.
Well, who do you think is going to get in the end zone for an anytime touchdown?
Let's see. Does anybody score this week for us?
Buffalo Bills defense and special teams. Could we get a kick return touchdown, punt return touchdown, pick six?
Oh, let's go with
Fumble
our
recovery.
Our old standby, Harold Fannin. He's going to get into the end zone this week. How
Some
about
good
that?
old Maction, huh? Against
That's
Buffalo. He
that's
knows a thing or two about playing Buffalo. I like it.
Yeah, Nick, are there any other stats bets that you're confident in this week?
Literally not. Like, I think you could maybe you could go back to the well on the over for Jerry Jeudy receptions, so they just get him the ball so he doesn't have an all the way crash out moment where you don't even know if he's going to show up next year. Like, maybe they'll just force feed him, but even then, like, what reason do you have to throw to him? There's no guarantee that he's going to catch it.
How about this? Does Myles Garrett, does he get his sack?
Yeah,
does he
there we
set
go.
the record? Does he tie the record? Where are we at with that? Do you think he gets it done against Buffalo, Nick?
I hope he gets two. Like, let's just get two. Let's end this once and for all. Even though there's a piece of me, I wouldn't mind if he got one and then he could break it against the Steelers. I think that'd be
TJ
extra
Watt?
sweet.
Okay, I like that plan, actually. Don't forget to tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. for a full breakdown of everything Cleveland Browns with Hanford Dixon, Josh Cribbs, and Phil Taylor. You can catch it live on X, YouTube, and the Big Play app. That's the Top Dogs show only on the Big Play Sports Network. Thanks for watching Big Play Cleveland. We'll see you next week.